An often overlooked part of the business case for a sustainability initiative is the way in which the initiative can have a very positive impact on employee-related expenses. Looking at the three justifications that frame the business case for sustainability, these expense savings are in the category called capturing new opportunities. And if we take a look at the superset of all of the sustainability benefits that are possible from a particular initiative, this is the one that is the hidden gem. This is the secret sauce that may very well drive many of the other benefits. So it includes not only energizing and engaging employees because they're excited about the fact the company is doing this kind of project, which leads to higher productivity, may make it easier to attract top talent to the organization, and may also cause their employees to be more loyal, which avoids attrition expenses. So when we're talking about engaged employees and higher productivity, what we're talking about is connecting the dots between companies doing sustainability initiatives, the way that those initiatives can cause a higher level of engagement of employees, and more engaged employees become more productive and more innovative, and that leads to better business results. So let's just follow this chain a little bit. First, let's make sure that we would know how to recognize a sustainability initiative if we saw one. It has something to do with the usual suspects, something to do with the environment, something to do with community and society, something to do with the way in which the company is treating its employees, as well as the way in which the suppliers that the company is using is being responsible, that they are being responsible, and human rights in their workplace are being respected, the way in which the company is baking sustainability into the governance of the organization and doing the right things on the social, environmental, and economic aspects of the company, and the way in which the company treats its customers. So it's a pretty rich combination of things that go into employees' perception of what they mean by sustainability initiatives. So we'll know they're engaged if they do these three things. So this is a little different from just being happy employees. This is engaged employees, that they say, stay, and strive. So what they say is positive things about the organization. They intend to be loyal and stay in the organization, and they put out extra effort to ensure that the company is going to be successful. Unfortunately, the studies that have been done on this show that not very many employees are engaged. Some of them are not engaged, and some of them are quite actively disengaged. Not good. And in fact, millennials are the ones who have the biggest challenge on being engaged, so we need to pay special attention to them. So if we want to engage millennials, they want their employers to tell them more about what they're doing on the CSR front. They want opportunities to help. They want to be engaged in and have a chance to impact what those ideas are and to be a part of them, to actually be part of the initiative, whether it's an environmental or a socially based initiative. So corporate social responsibility or just sustainability or sustainable development initiatives are definitely part of the mix of the drivers that cause employees to be engaged. Of course, benefits and career opportunities and pay and recognition and work-life balance and all of these other things are important. So we're not in any way trying to suggest that this is the only thing that employees talk about or care about, but it certainly has a lot to do with the level of engagement and innovation that they bring to their jobs. And notice that there are other factors here that some people would include as related to sustainability, such as employee health and well-being, the physical work environment, which in some cases has environmental aspects to it, managing performance, the way in which they're treated. So a lot of these things have to do with an enriched version of what sustainability is all about that includes the way in which the company treats its employees. So employees who feel that they have an opportunity to have direct social or environmental impact through their job or through the work of the company look like they have a higher satisfaction level than others. In fact, it's about a 2-to-1 ratio. The kinds of things that they are looking for as engagement factors that they are, sorry, let me just go back. They want to make sure the company cares about them as individuals. They want to make sure that the company has strong social and environmental commitments itself, and that they have an opportunity to make a positive environmental and social impact at work. And interestingly, that opportunity shows up as volunteering very often, so that they have a chance to actually do something voluntarily that has social or environmental benefits. So this is the level of satisfaction of the folks that are engaged as volunteers, the light green ones, versus the ones who almost never volunteer. And the level of satisfaction of employees who are engaged that way is significantly higher than those that are not. And this is a graph that kind of brings it all together, that there's a strong correlation between the percent of employees who are engaged and the percent who agree or strongly agree that their organization is socially and environmentally responsible. So there's better and better evidence that companies that are actively engaged in sustainability initiatives and give their employees a chance to be part of that find that their employees are more engaged not only in the activities that have to do with sustainability kinds of things, but in their day job. Now let's take a look at whether or not that leads to higher productivity and innovation. And it turns out that it looks like there's evidence that it does, that sustainability drives innovation. So this study by Deloitte shows that sustainability leaders are 400% more likely than average to be innovation leaders. So there's a strong correlation between sustainability and innovation. And frankly, you can't do sustainability unless you change things, that you innovate. So there's no wonder that there is a close correlation between the two. And in fact, some people say that it's just a synonym. Innovation is a synonym for sustainability. And it's the touchstone of all sustainability. So innovation and sustainability are pretty close cousins. So we've taken a look at that level of connection in the 4-link chain. Let's go to the next one. So being able to show that increased engagement and productivity and innovation leads to better company results is an important part of this connection that we're working on here. And the good news is that there are some pretty interesting studies that have been done to show that all of these connections work. This one especially is kind of important. So this is showing engagement's effects on key performance indicators. So there are indicators about absenteeism, shrinkage or stealing from inventory, safety incidents, and so on. But look at the ones at the bottom. What we're talking about here is an increase in productivity from engaged employees and profitability from, and it's not only profitability, it's also higher earnings per share than companies that don't have engaged employees. Another way of expressing the positive business results is to talk about the rate of growth of profits, 3 times faster with companies that had engaged employees, and the profit margin is higher. And this one at the bottom is talking about that innovation aspect again. So that 4-link chain shows that the energized and engaged employees are more productive and they drive business results. Let's take a look at whether there's a potential for being more attractive to talent and being able to keep that talent a little bit better too, and some savings associated with those two things. It turns out that if a company has a good reputation on corporate social responsibility or sustainability, that they're a magnet for talent, that employees want to work for companies that have strong social and environmental commitments, and especially millennials are looking for those kinds of companies. Some MBAs even say they would take a pay cut to work for those kinds of companies. So what we're looking at here is a desire to work for those companies that actually causes employees or potential employees to rebalance the various factors that they're looking for when they're seeking a good job. On the retention front, there's some strong evidence that actively disengaged employees are much more likely to look for a job in a different organization if things get a little bit better out there in the economy than the employees who are engaged. So they've got a little bit more one foot out the door than the other people do, and the loyalty of these folks really starts to pay off. To replace a good employee is very, very expensive. There are two different ways of doing the calculation of the rules of thumb for what it costs to replace a good employee. But you'll notice that there's a significant range in the way in which these two are doing the calculations. And the question that comes to mind is, what are they including when they're talking about the cost of replacement? Is it complete enough? Have they included all the costs? And some of the things that you want to make sure are included in those kinds of calculations and rules of thumb are the financial and replacement costs and other kinds of things as well, from the time the employee decides that they are leaving until the time they actually leave, until the time they are actually replaced by somebody new, and until that new person is trained and coached and mentored to the point that their productivity is at the same scale rate as the person that left initially. And if you include all of those kinds of costs, these replacement costs are significant to consider, and your human resources folks would be able to help you with all of that. In IBM, we had a rule of thumb that it costs 2 to 3 times the burdened salary, that is to say, including benefits, of a good employee to replace them with someone who is able to produce as well as the person who left. So it's a big deal. It's a lot of money. So in summary, corporate social responsibility, or ESG, or sustainability, is good for human resources. So it helps the retention factor. People want to stay in organizations that are doing the kinds of things that they're proud to be part of. They want them to be paying attention to environmental protection, sustainable development, and they're more committed if they find that their company is, and they would even recommend their company to others. So this is a good deal. This is good for HR, and it's really good for the company. So once you start to get engaged employees and you unleash their creativity and innovation on being able to find other opportunities for the company to save money or make more money, this is the secret sauce of a lot of the other benefits. That's another way of saying its position in this list makes it the meat in the sandwich. It's really an important aspect and has huge leverage on the benefit calculations in the worksheets that allow you to calculate the business case for sustainability initiatives. So when you make the estimates of what these improvements might be as a result of the project that you're proposing, follow the usual tips, the same 7 tips that apply to all of the other benefits. Make sure you engage the HR folks in your estimates. Take advantage of the experience inside and outside the company. Some research that's been done by either yourself or me in the comment boxes in the worksheets. And you'll, I think, be very surprised at the amount of leverage that this particular benefit has on the overall business case. So employee-related expense savings can be much, much more significant than perhaps even your HR folks realize. So this is a great opportunity to educate them on the value of sustainability strategies to the work that they do in the organization.